Hey everyone, welcome to Clickheads. I'm Eddie the Chump, and today we're going to talk about the best agents for solo queue ranked play. Frito has already done an overall tier list video for the latest 1.02 patch, which looks at the game as a whole and the different contexts it's played in, organised pro play versus us plebs in ranked, but we also thought a video specifically aimed at the solo queue experience was wise. The reason for this is, we do just play a different game most of the time to the pros, we're not in control of who anyone else picks, so the choice of who to play becomes less about what can we as a 5 accomplish, but what value can I secure while also leaving room for synergy if and when it arises. As such, there are some correctly highly rated agents that won't be on this list. Agents like Brimstone, Breach, and Viper are too set play orientated for me to recommend them here. That's not to say you can't play them in solo queue, but messy, frag heavy, scrimmy type playstyles is not where they naturally shine. So with all that said, let's begin. Omen. So why do I start my list with everyone's favourite teleport into your own smokes and throw agent? Well, Omen is much more than his shenanigans. I'm not trying to downplay all the sneaky and big brain plays you can make with him. There is certainly room for that kind of stuff, especially when your opponents are likely as disorganised as your team is, but the basis of his solo value is that he does quite a lot of things quite well. His smokes are large and regenerate, yes they're hollow, but if you use them right, it's still a big gamble for people to run through. You can place them across the map to another site to help your team, say to block off hookah if you're playing short on A on bind, or you can use them to play around yourself, which is the bedrock of his actually useful mind games utility. His flash has had some serious improvement over patches too, to the point where I think it's practical both as a flash and a kind of molly. If you hit a bunch of players pushing a lane with it, they're very vulnerable and they're very unlikely to continue their push, and once hit, there's very little they can do but hide or die. His teleport too, although limited in some aspects, can give you access to high ground, let you change position without being spotted, and yes, make some very ballsy plays. I'd like to meme and say he can make big brain and tiny brain plays work with equal effectiveness, and at a lot of ranks I'm sure that's very true, but the higher up you go, that side of his kit starts to fade away a little bit. His ult is better now because you can use it for recon without dying, but the number of viable places to actually teleport without feeding is limited at higher ranks, especially if you try and do it early round. Late round you can do things like take the spike and plant it at an opposite site, but even that has its limitations in effectiveness. Omen is good in solo queue because he kind of has a bit of everything. Not the best smokes, but good ones. Not the best flash, but decent. Not the best mobility, but useful. He's very, very flexible as an agent, and in a context where that's a real plus, he's naturally stronger. Sage. Listen, you know it, I know it, the devs know it. Sage has been incredibly strong in every context of the game for a very long time. She's been nerfed repeatedly, but still, her kit just has too much going for it not to pick her. But what makes her good specifically in solo queue? Well, everything, actually. Being able to heal herself or her teammates mid-round means more than anyone else imagined before the game released, and it continues to be a huge factor in her power level even now. Her wall and slow orbs are great on defense if you chain them correctly for maximum stall. The wall can raise you up for unexpected peaks. Raze is obviously a contender for the best ult in the game. She's just a great agent through and through. In solo queue, you can hold sites on your own, stay alive forever, res a vital teammate, even use it to save money if your economy is bad post-round. She's just great, and anyone that considers themselves a strong player should consider picking her. We've said many times that your carry player should be your Sage player, as you want them alive as long as possible. Well, when solo, if you're the carry player, then Sage is a great pick for you for all the reasons I've stated, and those of which we surely all grasp by now. Raze. So I'm just going to say it, I hate playing against Raze. Her kit feels horrible to die to, and when a Raze is doing badly in-game, I feel like BMing them simply because of all the times I've died to that stupid jumping boom bot as she peeks me at the same time. But here lies why you should consider picking her. Her utility is fantastic. It's some of the best corner checking stuff in the entire game. Her grenade has a radius equivalent to a small moon and can regen with kill reward. Her boom bot lasts forever and alerts you to enemy presence, and her blast pack can be used for corner checking, mobility, and yes, as set up for her outrageous ult, which might be the method of death I detest the most in the entire game. But I'll be real, some of the best players I've played against in ranked from beta up until now have been Raze players. Her playstyle can be direct and obnoxious, or subtle and defensive. Just watch Brax play her at the pro level. It is possible to be a big brain Raze main despite what people think. The beauty of her is that you can do that, or you can just roll out like flights and destroy people with blast pack movement. It's your choice. Who needs a flashbang when you've got pocket nuke grenades and a rocket launcher? That's right, nobody. Right, Duelist Addendum. So before I move on, I'll just say here, if you don't like Raze as a duelist option, solo queue is where duelist can be played much more liberally anyway. So if you are a Jet player or a Reyna main like myself, you're not making a bad pick if you take them over her. It's just that Raze has the easier kit to get solo value out of. Reyna, Phoenix and Jet have an inarguable skill cost to them that Raze doesn't, but their strengths might suit you more. Reyna is almost purpose built for me, very momentum based, simple flash and go and keep rolling type of agent. Jet is de facto the best agent to use an operator on because of her mobility and refrag countering kit, and Phoenix is kind of the duelist Omen. He does a bit of everything, great ult but you have to be fragging, etc. I think Raze is easier to play than those three agents, which is why she's on the list, but I'm not telling you to play her over an agent that you do understand well and have the skills to maximize. Is that fair enough? Great, let's move on. Sova. So Sova might be going up in people's estimation now, but for a long time he was thought of as kind of mid-tier. His kit only works with a team, he's awkward to play on your own, etc, etc. I'm not convinced of that, actually. I think his kit enables a very frag-heavy comp, which you're more than likely to get in solo queue. If you do want to try and be a team player and set people up in this environment, Sova is a fantastic choice. The one thing I think people get wrong about Sova is the pace that you have to play him at. If your team are very peak heavy and they're always trying to fight instantly as soon as the barriers go down at the round start, then yeah, he can lag a bit behind. But if you can convince people to wait for just a second for your sonic arrows or your drones, they will have a much easier time of it. The fact Sonic regenerates is killer. It's really good on attack and retake especially. There's a ton of good early round Sonic arrow lineups on all of the maps to help your team take that peak that they're chomping at the bit to do. Even if just for yourself, off on your own, trying to ISO one player, it can be really good. His drone too is strong on both sides. Anything that allows you to take a peek for free is worth its weight in gold, and can be used in front of your teammates on a push, or to check a lane that's very high risk, like checking long C on Haven on defense if you're the only person on the site. His ult too is very dexterous. Hit a drone dart, that's a kill with his ult 80% of the time. Get your team to mark a bomb as it's being planted, boom, 3 kills from across the map. A part of his kit that is underrated is his shock dart. Not for kills, but if an enemy Cypher is locking your pushes down, for example, shock darts are great at spamming common trap placements and destroying them before you jump on site. Again, you'll have to convince people to not run in like lemmings before you use them, but if you can do that, then they're really good for that purpose. Sova is really good, more people should play him, he just takes a little bit more work and game knowledge to shine. And as the final agent on my list, we have Mr. Solo on a site and sit in a corner. I jest, but I do think Cypher is not only incredibly easy to play and grasp the fundamentals of, but also has a very high ceiling if you're higher up the skill curve. This means he's good if you're a beginner, and good if you're more advanced too. He has been nerfed, people have learned to play against him better over time, but he's still perhaps the easiest agent to play on your own. Not only on the map on your own, but in solo queue, where if you truly can't depend on anybody else, at least you can almost guarantee defensive value yourself. He can be difficult to make work on attack, sure, but he can virtually peek any angle safely with camera before he commits, so he's not totally useless. He's also the answer to a lot of deaths that happen in solo queue, as in, you get flanked by defenders while trying to take a site on attack. Cypher's traps can help protect you and your team from that, so much so that if this keeps happening to you in your matches, you might want to consider picking Cypher just for this reason. As a Cypher, you'll quite often be last alive, and his ult really empowers you to clutch if you're the kind of player who craves those late round tense moments. Cypher is in a lot of ways the opposite playstyle to the one that I like personally, but I'm always grateful to have a Cypher whose brain is switched on in my solo queue teams. He really can be the difference between winning and losing. And that's about it for my list of the best solo queue agents. What did you guys think? Did I miss anyone, or did I do any agent unfairly? I think the challenge with knowing who to play in solo queue in Valorant is the same as it is in many other games. People can get blinded by what the metas are supposed to be and play agents they think their comp needs without realizing if you're 60% of yourself on a character you don't usually play, then meta doesn't mean anything. Nothing is truly guaranteed in this context. The only thing you have control of is the value that you learn to acquire yourself. I I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you like the content on this channel, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you get notified when we upload. Also, please do check out our Facebook stream. We're No Lifing Valorant over there, and it would be great to see some of you in the chat. Until next time.